Welcome y'all to my first YouTube video. I'm so excited. It's literally been years in the making. I've been saying since I started Witch Void, which was probably 5 years ago, that I'm gonna sit down and film a video. But guess what? I'm doing it today, finally. Oh, I'm so excited. This is Sam, by the way. So, as you can see by the title, this is going to be a New Orleans travel guide for the spooky lover, or something like that. But this is going to be a few of my favorite places around town, and hopefully I'm experienced enough because I am born and raised in the New Orleans area, so is my family, and I've never moved, probably never will. If you are here from the search bar and you don't even know what a witch void is, what's a witch void? You can check it out on Instagram or TikTok. I post a lot of haunted houses, travel, a lot of Salem, Massachusetts. So if you want to see any of that, go follow over there and subscribe here. But this is just gonna be a compilation of my few favorite places. So if you're in town for the weekend, you can do some fun stuff. So my first recommendation would be take a tour. I know it might sound cliche to take a tour in a touristy town, but it actually is pretty informational. I remember going on tours when I was a kid and I loved it, and still I recommend it to this day. So you have the choice between history tours, haunted history tours, vampire tours, ghost tours, whatever you want, there is probably a tour for it. And it's a great way to see the city, honestly. If you're in the corridor, you'll get a lot of history in probably 2-hour tour. You'll love it. Another thing I recommend is a swamp tour. Just bring mosquito spray, please. Of course, they're a little bit out of the city, in the swamps, but you will learn a lot about Louisiana lore if you take one of those tours. You can totally do a lore haunted tour like that. They even do ones that people pop out at you. It's hilarious. So you can learn about the Honey Island Swamp Monster. You can learn about the Rougarou. There's just so many fun things to do with tours. Another thing that I strongly suggest, if you do one thing in New Orleans, go check out our cemeteries. I have never in the United States seen a cemetery like ours. The closest thing I've probably seen would be in Paris or somewhere like that. I don't know, but they're super special because they are literally like cities of the dead. That is what they call our cemeteries. We have a lot of mausoleums, we have a lot of above ground graves, and that is because we are below sea level, woohoo! Which means for the most part, we can't really bury our dead under the ground. They have to be above ground so they don't float away. That is just a very brief explanation of why we build above ground our cemeteries. So I suggest Metairie Cemetery. It is seriously huge. If you go towards the back left, that's where the older, bigger graves are. St. Louis Cemetery number 1 and number 2. Number 1, you do have to book a tour to get in there. I believe the last time I saw it, it was $20. This is where Marie Laveau is buried. Nicolas Cage's future grave is in there. It's very strange, but pretty cool. St. Louis Cemetery number 2, right underneath the interstate basically, is a beautiful, kind of dilapidated historical cemetery. And there are a few cemeteries in mid-city. There is one across from the mortuary. That's another thing you can see if you are down Canal Street. It once was a real working mortuary and is now transformed into a haunted house. And actually, I think Santa's workshop, kind of random, but it's a really fun haunted house. It's got a cemetery adjacent to it. It's kind of surrounded by cemeteries. I had an apartment in that area once. It was crazy. My backyard was literally a cemetery. But there's also a great coffee shop over there called Sacred Grinds, and their courtyard is overlooking the cemetery. It's pretty cool. Of course, other New Orleans travel guides will tell you, oh, go shopping on Magazine Street, which you should, and if you do, you definitely need to go to the store Miette. I worked there for years. Incredible people. You will love it. But this is more of a spooky tour. So while Magazine is great and the Garden District is seriously gorgeous, I'm just gonna tell you my spooky things. Again, unlike anywhere in the United States I've ever been, the French Quarter is just unlike any other. It's got French and Spanish architecture from way back when. It seriously looks like somewhere in Europe. You may actually be shocked to find out that we have a lot of vampire lore right here in New Orleans. We have the Count of Saint Germain, we have the Casket Girls, not to mention fandoms like Interview with the Vampire, the originals, etc., etc. Well, let me tell you about this shop. It is one of the coolest shops in the quarter. It is Boutique du Vampire, and the owner actually owns the Vampire Cafe and a secret speakeasy. We'll get into the speakeasy in a second, but the shop, Boutique du Vampire, that has got all your needs for New Orleans. You can get vervain, you can get coffin nails, you can get voodoo dolls, you can get pretty much anything, especially books. So this is actually located right next to the Vampire Cafe, which is brand new. I think they opened in January. I may be wrong about that, but I think it was January. And let me tell you, I like deviled eggs as much as the next person, but their fried deviled eggs are unbelievable. We got 2 orders last week, and we had 2 orders. It was amazing. So at this restaurant, you can get drinks based on your blood type. It varies from rum to gin to vodka to sangria to fangria, actually. That's what I usually get. Every time I've gone, I've actually just gotten drinks and appetizers, but seriously, the entrees look so good. The vampire burger, I am definitely here for that. I want to get that so bad next time. And to complete the trifecta, we're gonna talk a little bit about potions, as much as I can, because this is a secret vampire speakeasy. And how do you get in, you may ask? Well, you need to check out either the Vampire Cafe or Boutique du Vampire. So have yourself a nice lunch, a nice dinner, and maybe mention to your waiter. See if you can find out the password, because this bar is my favorite bar in the city. You can sit and read, you can chat, you can go on the balcony and watch people stumble down Bourbon Street, which is always interesting from a safe place. I like to watch from above, not down below. One of the coolest things about this bar, not only is the music, the incredible artwork, but the absinthe. You can get so many variations of absinthe drinks here, which of course, absinthe is a New Orleans staple. So make sure you head down to Boutique du Vampire or the Vampire Cafe to get a little more information on this incredible bar. One place I absolutely have to mention is Muriels Jackson Square. So this place is reportedly haunted by the old owner. They reserve a table for him every single night. A ghostly table is set up at Muriels. So what you have to do is, if it's not rented or there's no private party upstairs, ask your server to see the Seance Lounge. Jordan was a notorious gambler. He was playing a round of poker. He was so upset about maybe losing his home and all of his assets, he hung himself. Muriels used to host seances in this here Seance Lounge, but they stopped years ago because things started to get out of hand. Guests of this particular last seance said that it started off very peaceful, but ended up very disturbing, loud, and uncomfortable. Apparently the seance was not closed properly, and people felt these spirits lingering for days. The Seance Lounge in itself is so beautiful, you do not want to miss this. Of course, there are a few other gothy, metal-y, punky bars around town. I'll just mention a few. The Goat, that's one that has really cool markets, actually, where you can get some oddities, some great local artists in there. The last time I went was before the pandemic, but they had really fun goth DJs, a lot of dancing, and I'm pretty sure I stayed there all night. Another one that's not particularly gothy is Molly's at the Market, and I don't know, it's got a spooky vibe in there, but I just go and I get those Irish coffees and they are incredible. Right down the street from Molly's is a bar called Santos, who hosts a lot of fun metal, goth, you name it shows, a lot of alternative shows there, and it's just a great little venue. And last but not least, for the bars is the infamous Dungeon. The Dungeon is a bar that is known for being open super late, probably till 4. Upstairs is like black lights with really loud goth industrial music, a lot of dancing, and some cages. You've got to see for yourself. Downstairs is more of a classic kind of metal vibe going on, but it's still very fun. One, note that you cannot take pictures or videos, which is why you're not seeing any footage here. Literally, if you whip your phone out and open that camera, they will see it almost instantly and you will be asked to leave. So beware. You may have guessed it, but there are a few haunted hotels in town, of course. Just to name a few, there's the Andrew Jackson Hotel that's supposedly haunted by the ghost of Andrew Jackson. There is the Dauphin Orleans Hotel, which is apparently haunted by Civil War soldiers. The Cornstalk Hotel, which apparently is haunted by some ghost children, and a woman with a lacy black collared dress. Another cool staple of the French Quarter is the Pharmacy Museum, and this is a place that displays crazy medical techniques. Apparently, there was a really screwed up doctor that used to experiment on pregnant women. So you could go take a tour of the Pharmacy Museum. And last, but obviously not least, because this is probably one of the most haunted places in New Orleans, you guessed it, the Lowlary Mansion. The Lowlary Mansion is this ominous gray building sitting on the corner of Royal Street. You will get the feeling of dread and ominousity, is that a word? Probably, when you're literally just looking at the building. Madame Lowlary tortured these people unbelievably. I'm not going to be the one to give you the gruesome details because this video might get flagged, but you can go ahead and search Madame Lowlary on YouTube and you can get a lot of information. It's very graphic. One of the most brutal stories in New Orleans that I've heard, probably. Also, if you've seen American Horror Story Coven, that's who Kathy Bates plays. Yep, pretty horrible. Speaking of Coven, the Coven Mansion is located in New Orleans. It's called the Buckner Mansion. You can look it up. You can go check that out. You can only see the outside, but it's still a beautiful place right there in the Lower Garden District. So back to the Lowlary Mansion. You can't get a tour. You can only see it from the outside. I also just saw on Facebook that I believe the producers of The Conjuring and maybe Saw are doing a rendition of the Lowlary Mansion, like a movie series. It's gonna be brutal, but it should be good. It'll tell the history, hopefully. So that is the end of my video tour. I really hope you enjoyed it because this is my first YouTube video. I don't know what I'm doing exactly. I'm trying. So if there's any suggestions, anything you would like to see from me, please leave it in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. I'm so excited to make more content for y'all. Please stay tuned until the next one.